So this morning I'm here at Fort Custer National Cemetery for a burial here in Augusta or Battle Creek, Michigan. So I'm going to just kind of give you a little tour, walk through a veteran service here today. So as you come in, you drive down what is called the Flag Avenue or Avenue of Flags. All the flags have been donated by families that have had a veteran service here, and they donate them back to the cemetery so that the cemetery can then use them and display them here on the Avenue of Flags just throughout the year. So then when they get tattered, then they then get replaced. So when you pull in to the cemetery, you pull into this cortege area, which is just the gathering area. And that's where all the cars that are coming in for that burial will pull in behind each other and wait until your allotted time slot. Services start every half hour on the half hour, so top of the hour and at the half hour. And it runs like clockwork on military schedule. So if you're late, unfortunately, you will be very late for it. So right now I'm on my way back to the shelter. I'm going to go ahead of the procession as it comes back so that we can do some video of the procession as it comes in and kind of the order of what happens. And so I won't talk a lot once the service is actually taking place, just out of respect for the family that is here and for the Veterans Home attendants. The gentleman that we're burying today actually was an unclaimed individual, well, an unclaimed veteran from the Veterans Home, and so he has little to no family actually. So the folks that are here today are people who befriended him and cared for him from the Veterans Home, and so they're just here to show respect and to pay tribute to him today. So there will be kind of minimal people, but we'll be able to see what we do to give honor to these veterans when they die. And the same is for the spouse. So a spouse also has a grave space at a military cemetery or a veteran cemetery, as do a dependent child can also get a grave space here. And so we arrive back at the shelter and then kind of go through and do the military honors once the pastor, if there is a pastor or a chaplain, says something. So the military honors include the firing of the volleys, which is the 21-gun salute. Sometimes if there's a veteran group at a cemetery and they don't have enough people to shoot, there isn't always 21 guns, but or 21 shots, but they do a 3-time volley. And then they play taps, and then they tabletop the flag during all of that, which means they open it and hold it up. The 2 flag folders do. Then they fold the flag at the conclusion of taps and present it to the family. So when you present it, it goes to the spouse or the oldest child, regardless if it's male or female. And if you want anybody else in the family to receive it, then those people have to kind of turn that honor over to the next person down the line. It can't just be, oh, this is who we want. The person that's supposed to receive it needs to give that position up, essentially. So, and then that concludes the services once the flag is presented. Oftentimes they will also give 3 empty shells to represent their birth, their service to their country, and their death. And those they'll sometimes stick inside the flag as well when they give it to the spouse or to the family member that they're presenting it to. So it's always such an honor to be part of these services. It's always kind of makes you reflect and realize that people give so much without having gotten so much in return when they give to their country. And so I love being part of these services just because of that. All right, so once we go in procession, we come back out to the shelter. We don't actually go to grave space because, as I'll show you in a little bit, there's it's a little more dangerous out there because they sometimes open several spaces at once, so you cannot approach out to the grave spaces. So we come out to these shelters here, which are also best for inclement weather and so forth, and we meet right here, put the casket right on the cart, and then the honor guard will be lined up here. I'll get some video later during the service as being least intrusive as we can be for the service later. But then we walk up here, and we'll see if I can do this without falling. And so then the family and the veteran's casket or the veteran's spouse casket would then be moved up here into the shelter area where they would have the actual service. The pastor or whoever might be saying a few words, kind of the committal words, are given just a few moments to do that because everything here is run on schedule. So we don't have a lot of time once we're out here at the shelter to do much. Besides a brief committal, and then the military takes over to do their honor portion. As you can see, the flag is out here, and then emblems from the different military branches are up on the wall over there. So we will have the live committal in a little bit for the veteran that I'm here for today, and I'm going to also kind of show the grave spaces and what else we have going on here at the cemetery. So
Fort Custer National Cemetery staff, our United States Army Honor Guard, and our all-volunteer Honor Guard pay tribute to a departed comrade. Honor Guard, hut team, hut! Right, hey! Ready! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! That's left. Face! Reset! Huh!
So now that the service is complete at the graveside, they then go, they place his casket or her casket in another vehicle, and then that vehicle takes the individual over to where their burial space is. Sometimes the family does follow behind just so they are aware in the area that the person is going to be buried. They just cannot approach the grave in most instances because of that safety factor. I am going to show, I think, a couple more spots throughout the cemetery just to give a little more tour of what else there is around the grounds. As I had kind of said before, the family and everyone doesn't really get to go to the grave space after. They can do a drive-by, but often if it's the first burial of the couple, how it works is the first of the couple is buried on the bottom, and then when the spouse dies later, they're put on top of the other person. And so they will open as many first burials as they have for the day in one row, and so there's a large section of earth that is opened, and so it's not safe for people to approach the grave spaces. And that's what they're here doing, is opening the burials for today. They're all first burials. Now if it's a second burial, then they'll be going to the grave space of where the initial spouse was buried for that person's burial. This is a new section of the cemetery of a few years ago. They added these columbariums for interment burials above ground. Before, all urns had to be buried out in a plot of land, and so they added these a few years ago, which are a great addition for folks and conserve some of the ground space, but also allows for the urn burials. You'll notice that throughout the cemetery, the headstones are all flat, the flat bronze or flat stone veterans headstones, except for this one section of the cemetery. You'll notice the uprights in this one section, and this is the German section of the cemetery, and this was a memorial to a group of German prisoners of war that were actually kept here from 43 to 46, and there was a large train accident that happened. A truck and a train collided, and all these prisoners were killed in it. I'm going to read the memorial. 26 German soldiers are buried here from that accident, and then the rest have all died here since 1953. And so they've all just been buried here, and rather than returned back to Germany, they came to an agreement, and they do a memorial once a year here for those soldiers, and it's a pretty amazing show of honor to them and to kind of the relationship there that they have maintained and stayed here and are part of a part of the cemetery. And one last time as you're leaving, you do drive by the main flag. This is also the area that the large memorial service is held every year on Memorial Day. And if you've never been here to see this and you live in the area, I highly recommend you come. All the flags are flying that can be on all the poles, and it's just quite an amazing tribute. Come fall though, you'll see the empty poles behind, and those are all taken down. Typically with the weather and the winter, they do remove a lot of the flags so that they can, last till the spring and safety. So any questions about Fort Custer, by any means, let me know. This is truly an amazing place to be. It's always an honor to bring a veteran to be buried here, a veteran spouse. It's just an awe-inspiring place, and I get goosebumps every time, and I'm truly humbled when I am here. Thanks, guys.